Bum 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 Glorious Maximus
Darius.
Bum bum.
This recording will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Mates Rate and Review.
Oh, we're doing another review.
We are. The spin-off podcast to one of Keanu Reeves' favourite podcasts that he may or may not have ever heard of. In this second episode, we're going to deep dive and review Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part Uno, or 1. The 7th film in the Mission Impossible franchise. I am host number 1, Gaz Carr, and I am joined by my perennial number 2.
Hello, my name's Cayzer. I'm the sequel.
That's my number 2. So, we are going to give you a brief spoiler-free review, but then we're going to our favourite holiday destination, Spoiler Beach, on the coast of Spoilopolis, and dive into those spoiler-tastic waters and explore Spoiler Reef, tragically spoiled by the presence of man, or man-child, or men-child, Ren, us. Dan, what do you got?
Did you write that?
I wrote that.
That's really
good.
good.
You know I wrote that. You're looking at me reading
It's
it.
really good. I'm crying a bit.
Did you like that?
I did.
I live to make you laugh.
Spoiler Reef.
Yeah. Well, you just hear about all these unspoiled reefs, and I thought, well, this one's going to be spoiled. So, last night we went to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah, it was called Dead Reckoning, wasn't it? It was called
Yeah.
Dead Reckoning Part 1.
That was beautiful.
Thanks. That's how they wrote it on the screen.
Right, should we get into the...
We've dawdled too long and my tea is almost gone.
So, anyway, into our spoiler-free review. Brief synopsis, very brief synopsis.
So what was the film about? The film was about...
It's about 2 hours. I mean, basically, the spoiler-free review is this was fan-fucking-tastic.
It was great, wasn't it?
It was absolutely amazing.
It was non-stop.
In some of the scenes of this film, it's so tense. You're literally on the edge of your seat and you're like, you're really feeling the anxiety of what's about to happen. And the last time I remember feeling that was in that final sequence in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh,
Thomas Cruise.
Thomas. Yeah, so when this film started, it said a Tom Cruise production.
Mm.
So we all know that he's got quite a lot of
Clout.
star power and clout, and he does produce these things, so it's no surprise. But I don't know, I found it quite telling. Do the other Mission Impossible films, or the later Mission Impossible?
I would say they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Tom Cruise
Fallout
has
is
been
probably a...
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Maybe the last 3 have been Tom Cruise joints.
So from what I've heard, I think I remember seeing an interview, maybe a Graham Norton interview, I don't know, with Tom Cruise, where I think, and don't correct me if I'm wrong, internet listener.
Nobody cares, man. No one's listening to this.
So I think I remember him saying that someone asked him, how do you get to do all these stunts? And he said, you basically make yourself a producer. You make it into your contract that you are a producer, and then you can do all these stunts.
So the producer would be worried about the star.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you are the producer and the star, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just sign off the risk assessment and go, yep, Tom can do that.
Absolutely.
I am he.
So anyway, back to the spoiler-free review. The film jet sets around the world. There's lots of exciting action sequences that primarily, I'm sure there's CGI in there. In fact, I know there's one bit of CGI in there. But primarily, they are...
I would say that there's lots...
Yeah.
But it's
No, but there's one bit that I'm pretty sure I've heard of is a fact.
Oh, I know.
But it
I think I know what you're going to say.
Doesn't detract from it at all.
No, not at all. And there's the distinction between is it CGI or is it a visual effect? Because CGI implies that it's the whole scene's computer generated.
Well, we'll delve into that one when we get there.
Yeah.
The only other film that we reviewed, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Our principal complaint about that, well, certainly mine, was that the action there was an awful lot of green screen actors in a studio, and you could just tell. And I don't think we had that with this. In fact,
it didn't feel that way, and it felt. I think this is part of the Cruise production machine.
Yeah.
Is that it needs to be as real and as practical as possible.
There are car chases.
Got to respect that.
There's train work. There's motorbike stuff, and it's all real. And I think that goes back to what I was saying about how I was on the edge of my seat. The anxiety that you feel is because that these actors, they're doing stuff and you can see that it's real to them, even though they are acting. They don't have to work themselves up into it. Okay, so we're just sitting in a pretend car in front of a green screen and sort of think we got a couple of set hands either side that are jiggling the car around. They don't need to work that extra hard to act like they're in jeopardy. The
film has been crafted in such a way to make your immersion more so.
Well, the other thing that you can see as well, let's again compare Tom Cruise and Harrison Ford in this.
Is that fair?
Not really. Harrison Ford, 80-year-old man. Tom Cruise, 60-year-old man. 61 now. I don't know how old he was at the time of filming.
So this was all filmed. This was filmed during COVID.
You've checked this out, have you?
I have checked this out.
We spoke about this afterwards. We weren't sure.
And it was filmed. So yeah, Dead Reckoning Part 1's been waiting to come out for a little while now. So it's been in post for a while. I don't know what the delays were, but yeah, this was the classic. Not too long ago, the big rant from Cruise, talking to crew about wearing their masks, and we are showing the world how we can still make films even in the pandemic. Come on, buck your ideas up.
It's really.
He said it a bit harder than that.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. We are creating thousands of jobs. You I don't ever want to see it again, ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone.
It's really interesting, isn't it? You hear the Christian Bale rant.
Yeah.
You hear the Christian Bale rant and you go, I've lost an awful lot of time and respect.
And that was because a man was trying to do his job.
That's because a man walked into his eye line looking at the lights, because that is his job.
I want you off the fucking set, you prick!
And then you hear that Tom Cruise does this rant and you go, well, actually my respect levels have gone up for you, because he ranted. I don't know exactly what he said, and I'm only going off a very vague memory.
He said something along the lines of, we are showing the world that we can do this. The film industry is depending on us to keep film alive.
No apologies.
And you are letting the side down by not obeying these COVID restriction rules and the risk assessment rules that we've put in place. And he got annoyed, but it was like a manager talking to their crew rather than a diva exploding on set.
He wasn't diverific.
No! Don't shut me up! Am I going to walk around and rip your fucking lights down?
But let me ask you this. Do you think that was a publicity stunt?
No, I don't. I don't because I think if it was a publicity stunt...
I think if Tom Cruise started going off on one on set and you were on set, in the modern era, I think people would be kind of like, my phone is out and I'm recording on instinct. So yeah, I think it would have been captured.
I think, there's lots of sound recorders around who are always recording stuff, like Christian Bale knows very well.
What don't you fucking understand?
Yeah, to his detriment.
I think that if it was a publicity stunt, it was a hell of a gamble, because depending on how the public...
he could have come off sounding like an absolute dick, which I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did. I
think that holds that against him.
Some people portrayed it in the media as him being dickish, and I think that the vast majority of the public went, actually, fair play.
We're all having a hard time, and you're just trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Good on you, old Tomo.
Friend of the podcast.
We do well, don't we?
We do. We got Keanu, we got Tom, Anthony Hopkins as well, I believe.
Oh. I got Tom Cruise.
Allegedly.
I got a Tom Cruise story that allows me to give us actual credibility. I have.
You've met the Cruise?
I've touched him.
Have you?
Or should I say he touched me? Now, this sounds like it's a story that's going to have a dark twist, but it's not. Oh, wow. No, I was working as a camera operator, and he was at an event, a royal event, with the Queen and everything. And
El
Madge, rest in peace. And Tom Cruise was on a stage.
He may identify as a she. You don't know.
I don't know. I'll ask him next time I see him down the pub. He was across the way. He was on a stage. I'm filming him and others, saying happy birthday to the Queen and things like that. And then at the end of the event, he crossed the arena, and there's lots of other people's Helen Mirren, name dropping now.
Just a little bit.
Damian Lewis.
Clang.
We'll put some sound effects in there. And then Tom Cruise is part of this throng of famous lovies coming across, walking past my camera, and he puts his hand out and he says, well done. And he took me in hand.
One of our team was part of a small OB filming a interview series at a London hotel for, I want to say, the last Mission Impossible film, or it might have been the one before that. And yeah, Mr. Cruise was there, and she got to meet Mr. Cruise, and apparently his people were all going like, "No, you've only got 10 minutes with Tom. You've got to, you've got to wrap it up." And then Tom Cruise was like, no, take as long as you need. He was just like absolutely lovely and sweet. And then afterwards, he was stopping to take pictures with all the people who'd been there, and our team member. She got a lovely picture with her and Tom, and apparently he was just a really sweet bloke. Now, I don't know how much of that is genuine or if it's,
like he turns it on.
Like he turns it on. Like
I think he does. I think he's trained himself. Yeah, I think he's trained himself to be a persona, in front of people. But it's a good one.
Yeah. So what I would say is that
maybe we could all learn something from Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Whatever his initial motivations for it are, who cares? He seems like a really nice guy. So should we? So yeah,
get on with the film.
We haven't really.
I haven't spoken about the film at all.
Barely. Yeah.
No. Let me take you back to the to that opening credits.
Yeah.
So it says Mission Impossible, lovely Mission Impossible.
Quite late up they were, weren't they?
They had a big cold open. I think we'll come back to that. It says Dead Reckoning's the subtitle, and then it said Part 1. So you expect all of those words to be written there because that's the name of the film. But I felt like the Part 1 element of that font was kind of slapped on a little bit later.
Do you reckon?
It's a slightly different font. It doesn't feel like it blends into the rest of the title card.
Are you saying that you think that they filmed a long film and then went, "No, we better cut it into
this in half, man. It's 7 hours long.
We're not Peter Jackson.
No one's going to sit around for this.
No.
It's good, but it's not that good.
Well, going back to that Part 1 thing, I remember going to see Dune with you.
Yeah.
And in all the press for that, and the trailers, because I did watch the trailer for that, because my view on trailers is that if you don't know if you're interested in the film, watch a trailer.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to see it, then don't bother watching a trailer, because then you're just going to spoil bits for yourself.
Take some enjoyment away from yourself.
But on the trailer, it just said June.
Yeah.
All over the place. June. No Part 1.
Nope.
And then we got into that cinema, we sat down, and it came up with June. I think I looked to my right to adjust my drink or something like that. And I looked back, I heard you do like a little yelp. Like a little girly squeal.
Oh.
Like a little sort of, like a little neutered dog. I sort of like looked over to you and I was like, "What, Dan?" Because I looked back up at the screen, the title had gone. And you said, Part 1. What? What do you mean Part 1? We were not apprised of this situation before we came into the cinema.
Yeah, and we paid full price tickets.
We paid full price tickets
for half a film. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet. Where's my money?
Absolutely. Oh, I love June, by the way. It was great. Really looking forward to Part 2.
We've had a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
So we also had Into the Spider-Verse was a one part.
Part 1. Well, no, Across the Spider-Verse, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Across the Spider-Verse was
Into the Spider-Verse
the first part of...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's part of a trilogy, but...
Is it Beyond the Spider-Verse or something?
Beyond the Spider-Verse comes next, but it really felt like, it just ended on this cliffhanger. But that's forgivable. And then Fast X... Fast X ends...
Is that
it just ends. Yeah. So,
oh, wow.
Fast and the Furious 10 is and the Furious 10 Part 1.
So it's Fast and the Furious 10A?
Yeah.
As you know, I'm not a Fast fan. I do mean to watch them. I'm sure they're lovely. I just got turned off by the first one that was basically a remake of Point Break.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like beat for beat.
So there was no preamble to that. It didn't say it at the beginning. It didn't say Part 1 on it at all. It just...
I believe with Fast X, it just ends.
Oh, my word.
And then it's like, come back for Part 2. Bring your money.
Sons of biatches. My God.
Vin Diesel's ego,
what have you done?
Is out of control.
Have we done enough of the plot of this to dive into spoilers?
God, no.
No. I mean,
I don't think we've talked about the film yet.
So we go around various different cities. We've got the United Arab Emirates. We've got Amsterdam. We've got Venice. We've got Rome. It's a globe-trotting film.
It's international.
It is, and they don't even they don't do the travel by map because that's too slow for them. They travel by cut, and they just cut and they're in the new place.
You would have thought they'd travel by burning fuse.
You'd think so.
I'd enjoy that.
That would be good. A map with burning fuse on it.
Come on.
That would be so good, just leaving the map charred behind it.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
It's, submarines in the Arctic Circle.
And they're searching for keys that will open up a
thing.
MacGuffin.
They are searching for essentially the whole film, a bit like Dial of Destiny, is a globe-trotting search for an artifact.
Yeah.
The two are quite similar.
There was quite a few bits whilst watching Dead Reckoning. We were kind of like, weirdly, because those films were made were shot at the same time. Yes, that's the point. Well done. You've made that sequence, but infinitely better.
Mission Impossible.
Good for you.
Yeah. It feels like that there were two different sets of crews that could do all... Not Tom Cruise. Two different sets of crew that could do all these sequences, and they went, we'll take the good ones.
Yeah. That's
B-team.
That's Tom Cruise, producer Suave Powers.
Absolutely.
Gets everyone in. But then also you've got sequences in, again, I don't want to keep talking about the Fast and Furious films, but in the latest one, in that Fast X, I believe that there are chases through Rome, and they don't look as good as the Mission Impossible one.
So one thing that I do know about the Fast films, or one thing that I've observed from some of the action sequences that I've seen, is that they are heavily artificial.
Yes, I would say that as the films go on, they start to blend, but yeah, heavily. I mean, the first film almost has like anime elements to it, with like when they hit the nitro on that, they kind of like go into warp speed, and it looks ridiculous. I mean, that film's going back a bit now, so fair dues. But yeah, the Mission Impossible films, all the stunt work, all the car chases, I never really looked at things and went, oh, that's a composite. Yeah. Oh, I think there was one overhead shot where the timing of the movement of the vehicles looked slightly off, and this lasts frames. It did not bother me at all, but I think I saw something that looked like a bit of a composite. And I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong.
So, as I said, we're going to do a very brief spoiler-free review, and our brief spoiler-free review is brilliant. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
Give Tom Cruise all your money. It's
definitely
great.
See it at the cinema.
Yeah, definitely. We saw it in the Odeon Lux in an iSense cinema.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored by... No, we're not sponsored, and the iSense cinema is not sponsored by Apple. I don't know why it's called an iSense cinema. Can you hear that bird?
Oh, yeah. We should kill it.
Said the proper ornithologist in the room.
Yeah.
Do you want me to close the window?
I wanted to kill it.
So our brief spoiler-free review, go see it.
Yeah, and I think, a bit like with Maverick, go and see it in the cinema. Absolutely. I think it's absolutely worthy of a cinema screening.
Yeah, what was I saying? We saw this in an iSense cinema, in an Odeon Lux, and by God.
But I was incensed by the price. People are saying things like Tom Cruise. I think Tom Cruise would even say this about himself, that he's trying to save cinema, that cinema going is becoming a less attractive thing for people, mainly because we keep putting films to home release quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
I do believe that Tom Cruise has fought and won for Dead Reckoning to have a longer or more traditional cinema release of, I think it's like 90 days or something like that, rather than there's these new deals where they cut it in half and you can have 45 days in the cinema and then it goes on to streaming. Like The Flash is on. I mean, The Flash is in a lot of trouble, that film, but it's now on Sky. You can download that. You can watch that at home.
Is it Sky Store though? It's not.
Oh, I imagine you've got perks. Yeah. Let me say that you have to pay for it. But am I going to pay for a film at £15, a one-off purchase? And people would, I think, sadly, people would rather spend a small amount of money to watch a film in their home with their loved ones on the sofa than go to the cinema, which is a shame. It's a real shame. But I think as a species, we crave convenience.
Yeah, well, if you think about it as well, £15, $15.99 to download Flash instead of paying
that £10 per person.
£10 or £15, £10, £15, £20 per person.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a big TV these days, so they go, well, what's the difference? There is a massive difference. People go to the cinema. It's fantastic. Yeah. So are we at the point? So our spoiler-free review is really, it's just go and see it. It's really good. Tom Cruise is fantastic. Haley Atwell's fantastic. Rebecca Ferguson's fantastic. All the stunts. Peg and Rames, brilliant. You know, a great scene that seems to have been cast out of British comedy gold. Mark Gatiss and Rob Delaney. I know he's not British, but he's over here all the time.
So you suspected that they were filming maybe at Pinewood
Yeah.
Or Elstree.
Yeah.
And
Mark Gatiss' American accent was like, no, perfect. It was really good.
Yeah. I sort of approved of his hair as well.
I'll let him know.
Yeah. Friend of the show.
League of Gentlemen, friend of the show.
Yeah, and then he did that Dracula thing, and
I've not seen that.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't. Who else did we have in that scene with Gatiss and Delaney?
Carrie Elwes or Ewells. I'm not sure never sure how you pronounce his name.
From Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, Saw.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
He's brilliant.
And unlike some Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
He's very, very good, and I kind of miss him from cinema.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. Are we going to put on our snorkels, strap on the old Speedos, and head down to Spoiler Reef?
We're going to look at all the spoiler fish.
Yep.
And the spoiler puss.
What? Okay.
Delicious spoiler puss.
I like an octopus. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Spoiler Rana. Spoiler Shark. You did better with your spoiler puss.
Thanks.
It's all right.
I'm going to end it there.
Yeah. Spoil Lobster.
Spoil lobsters are blue until you cook them.
That's right.
They go red.
So, the film opens on a submarine in the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, underneath the ice shelf.
With Russian gentlemen speaking Russian, and then they kind of overlay the English and the Russian at the same time, and then it just goes into English.
I thought
that was quite good.
I love that. They did for something very similar in the film that I'm about to reference, because I was about to call that submarine the Red October, because it's a silent stealth submarine that no one knows where it is.
Yeah.
They did that in Red October when when the political officer reads from a book, and he reads in Russian up to the word Armageddon, which is the same in both languages.
Very clever.
I love it. It zooms in towards his mouth as he's speaking, and then when he hits Armageddon, goes into English and it pulls back out again. Love it.
Do you think that was a production choice because Sean Connery refused to speak with any other accent than his own?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Scottish Russian and Scottish English.
It's the same.
This Hunt for Red October ship, the stealth ship, is doing manoeuvres in the Arctic Circle. They're bragging to each other about the fact that they've.
This is the best submarine in the world.
Yeah, they're bragging to them about.
It's invisible to everyone else.
And they're bragging about the fact that they've snuck up on every submarine class from all the other countries.
Yeah, and
without them detecting.
All the shipyards and all the depots, and we've been there, and no one knew we were there, and we are the dog's bollocks of submarine boys.
Yeah, and they've got this super sonar rig that's like a big round room.
Yeah,
when they go into it, I thought that's a mini Cerebro.
Yeah, or Mother from Alien. It felt like that. I know that's not like a round room per se, but it felt like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden they make contact with a US sub that's nearby.
That is moving too fast.
Yeah, it's moving in a way that is not natural. It comes in too quick. But
all of their readings tell them that it's there.
Yeah.
Their sonar's pinging off the thing.
And interspersed with this action, like you're going back and forth to the computer of this sonar rig.
Yeah, the whole thing that makes their sub so amazing is this kind of computer program and computer brain inside the submarine that they say is called Dead Reckoning. We are. It's all thanks to
they say that?
Dead Reckoning, and then it's never said again throughout the whole film.
Oh.
And I found it kind of weird.
Yeah,
that happened. We'll get onto that.
So this enemy sub, for some unknown reason, launches a missile at them. So they launch countermeasures. Nothing happens. So then they launch their own missile at the enemy sub, and the enemy sub then disappears. And this missile never hits them because it was never there.
They brace for impact. Yeah. They can see it on the sonar screen, and then it's as the torpedo is meant to hit them, nothing happens.
It's a computer ghost. It's obviously a fake image.
Ghost in the machine.
And then
we may be able to convince the sensors that an enemy ship is approaching. Their instruments would lie to them. If I am successful, the computer will project a false image of the enemy ship on the main view screen.
So unless someone runs to a window and looks out,
they're going to fall for it.
And then as they are sort of like going, well, that's a bit weird.
In Russian?
No, it was in English.
Yeah, but you made it sound like they had a pipe in their mouth and they were wearing slippers. That's a bit weird, Jarvis.
I say, old chum, I would think that's a little bit weird.
That is queer.
Yes. Yeah, so this missile that's heading towards them disappears. They've launched their own missile. They go, oh, that's a little bit strange. And then while they're sort of standing around pontificating, the captain says, just cancel our missile. Just, call it back.
Yeah, I didn't know you could cancel torpedoes.
Yeah, just tell it, go home, rest.
So it's like the modern torpedo is Bluetooth.
Yeah, it's Bluetooth. No, I think this is something that, if even in Hunt for Red October, when Admiral Jim Greer, played by Darth Vader, they have to fake the explosion of the Red October, so the Americans drop a missile and Jim Greer explodes it about 200 yards from the Red October remotely. So that's always been a thing with at least film missiles.
Yeah.
I don't know how true it is in real life, but in the films, they've always been able to remotely detonate these things.
Someone's going to tell us, because someone talked to us about trains. So I imagine that someone will talk to us about submarines.
But how do you detonate a torpedo? Giant red glowing button.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, sadly, doesn't work.
Doesn't work, does it?
No.
And the guy that operates the red button has been hitting it quite a lot.
Yeah, he's like, I pressed it once, it didn't work.
And then an officer comes over and he goes, get out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to press the red button. And it still doesn't work.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when you get to the lift and you're waiting for a lift.
Yeah.
You've pressed the button and then somebody else comes along and presses the button again. That's going to do it.
I'll do that for you.
Yeah. I've pressed it. These 3 other people that came up, they've pressed it too. We're all waiting here for the lift. The light is on, but you pressing it, that's what got it.
Stand aside, citizen. Yeah. I've used lifts
King
before.
Arthur is about to pull that sword out of that stone. Ha! My magical power of retrieving the lift.
Of being here a bit later than you, so the lift seems to come quicker.
Yeah, that's it. I did it. See, I pressed the button and the doors just magically opened immediately.
No need for thanks.
Yeah.
I'll take money.
Just worship me. So the missile then swoops around and... the torpedo.
Get it right, or we will get letters.
The photon torpedo then swoops around.
God.
The photon torpedo then swoops around and impacts their own ship and sinks them.
Yeah, whacks them right in the propeller.
Yeah. And then we see the frozen bodies of the crew floating up to underneath the ice shelf. One of them who has a strange-looking key on a chain around his neck.
Yeah. We've seen the 2 officers use the key to unlock the computer brain.
Yes.
And then they put those around their necks because they're 2 separate keys. It's some kind of security measure. And yes, there are 2 officers and gentlemen that are underneath the ice.
It's one of them, Richard Gere.
Yeah. I'd watch him drown.
Fuck. Dark.
So yeah, you see the whole crew leave the submarine.
Yeah, I know. And strangely,
how did that happen?
Yeah, and also strangely, the torpedo.
The submarine seems to be in pretty good nick at the bottom of the ocean.
The computer graphic showed the torpedo impacting the stern of the submarine. Just one torpedo hitting the back of the submarine.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's where the actual torpedo hit when you see it.
It hits the back propeller, as you say.
Yeah, the front.
Right in the stern.
Right.
Take it.
The front dome of it is intact.
Yeah, and that's where the officers were.
Well, no, the officers are sort of in the middle, aren't they? There's always that knobbly bit that they go up. There's a ladder and there's a periscope. You remember?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't remember seeing that bit destroyed, but literally every important character on there
leaves the submarine.
Floats out of the submarine.
Maybe they...
Perfectly intact. It's not like there's a torso with missing arms and legs floating up there.
Speaking of perfectly intact, when that missile hits, did you see the bit when all of the other missiles flew off the shelves and crushed those men?
Oh, yeah.
Ouch.
Ouchie.
I felt that.
They got an ouchie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching that moment of the officers somehow miraculously leave the ship, it's like they did it of their own choice. I'm not staying in here. And they get out. Does that work? Can you do that in a submarine? I don't think so.
So I've got a little note here, because I, much to Dan's chagrin, I took notes last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the dark, I couldn't really see what I'm writing. But what
Gareth
I did write
is a professional. What
I did write was at the point when the own missile hit the submarine.
Yeah.
I wrote this note. Dan laughs. Care to
no, I did.
Care to explain that?
I don't know. It was was I laughing in the face of death because I'm not scared of it? No, that's not true.
No.
Yeah, was it Schnaudenfreude. What's it called?
Schadenfreude.
Schnaudenfreude. That's when you laugh. That's when you laugh when a little dog hurts himself.
Schnauzenfreude. Miniature Schnauzenfreude.
Yeah. You can laugh at film pain.
Yeah. I
don't remember laughing. I remember, inhaling through my teeth.
Don't get me wrong. There's a bit later on where I laughed and I audibly heard no one else in the cinema laughing. And I thought, oh, well, maybe I'm a little bit off there, but never mind.
So yeah, watching that moment of the gentlemen leaving the submarine,
yes,
and their bodies floating up to underneath the ice shelf, very sad. It reminded me of...
What, you weren't laughing at that bit?
No, because I was having PTSD.
Okay.
Of when I used to be a submarine commander.
Of when you were on the Titanic?
No, I remember going around my grandfather's house as a young boy, and he was watching a film of that had a submarine in it that was taken on water.
Yeah.
And you watched... Yeah. I can't tell you what this film is, because it's a secret, because I can't remember. But you watched the crew trying to get out of rooms that's filling with water, and you watch them drown, and you actually watch their stomach contents come out of their mouths. You see.
Hold on, this was real.
It's a film, but it's not a dream.
No, but I mean, is it documentary footage?
No. It's just I don't know how they did it. It's fake. Okay. It's acting. They're okay. Well, they were. This is an old film.
From 1942.
Yeah. They're still kicking around.
Yeah.
Well, it gave me the fear fear of drowning.
Yeah, do you know what did that for me?
And of death in general.
The Abyss.
Oh yeah.
That gave that for me. The fear of drowning. Remember, when
the fear of Jim Cameron.
Fear of Jim Cameron trying to drown me.
Jim, it's getting dangerous. Do it again.
Fear of acting with Jim Cameron and drowning.
Yeah. I want to do it for Jim because he's so cool. I've been underwater for a long time. It's like, Kate, let's just see how long you can hold the water. Is this
Kate, Mary,
is this necessary?
Ed.
Well, I'm thinking of Kate Winslet in Titanic. I know. They made her. He made her hold her breath for 6 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
Moving on.
So then we cut to Amsterdam.
My favourite city.
And this is the scene where we're introduced to Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt.
A complete Ethan Hunt.
And they're setting something up in this scene which I didn't realise until now, which is this new person in the IMF. And he said, you made the right choice at the end of it. And that sets up the choice that he's talking about later on.
Yes. Yes.
But we'll come back to that.
Never see that guy again.
No. This is literally just the scene where he gets the tape recorder.
Yeah.
Should you choose to accept it?
It's probably going to self-destruct
in 5 seconds or so.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was, but one of them it didn't self-destruct after 5 seconds. It might have been on a phone or something like that, on a payphone, and he went back and gave it a kick and it did it. It was just a good gag. I tell you what, that's something about this film that I kind of wasn't expecting, which was that it was so funny. Some bits of it was so funny, and appropriately so. It was never tongue-in-cheek. It was never...
And it's not only from Pegg.
No.
It's not like... I know he's kind of meant to be the comic relief, which he wasn't. I don't know.
He wasn't too much. He had a couple of funny lines. I think...
He's not a goofy character.
I think Pegg in this is more... He's a bit more of the heart. He's a bit earnest. So we're literally in Amsterdam for him to receive his orders. His orders, yeah. And
his mission if he chooses to accept it.
And he meets this new person to the IMF. I wrote down the quote that he says, which is, "We live and die in the shadows for those we hold close and those we never meet."
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Protecting my friends and the world at large.
So I have this problem with the Mission Impossible films, is that I can't remember much of them. So I love them. I absolutely love them when I'm watching them.
There's a lot of detail,
Yeah.
And all the actual espionage and the who to trust and who to not, and the red herrings and the who you're meant to be looking out for. There's a lot, it tries to trick you.
But so I can't remember what happened to what's her name, Michelle Monaghan.
There's no mention of that character in this film. There's mention of another
unknown
interest.
Love, yeah.
Right at the it's not at the beginning, is it?
There's a flashback at some point to this early love of Ethan Hunt's, the instigation.
So that's meant to be pre
number
IMF.
one. Yeah,
that's before he joins.
Pre Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, God, can you imagine a time before Emilio Estevez?
Absolutely. I mean, no. No. I was actually quite disappointed in number one that Emilio Estevez was killed quite so quickly.
By elevator.
By lift,
or lift,
yeah.
as we call it over here.
Absolutely, you traitorous bastard.
Yeah, well, it's an American film.
Yeah, so
it's
yes.
a lift with a massive spike of death on it.
Yeah.
Because,
they do.
They have those, don't they? I imagine John Voight put it there. Spoilers.
Yeah, so Gabriel, played by, I'm going to pronounce this wrong.
Do it.
Isai Morales.
Beautiful. I think that's correct.
His first name is spelled Esai, but I'm not familiar with that as a first name, so...
No.
Isai, S-A, maybe.
So you see him throughout the film.
Yeah.
The character Gabriel, the main antagonist, kind of the film. And you see him in that flashback sequence, and he's younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot younger.
So he's been de-aged because there should have been quite a long section of de-aging of young Tom Cruise, young Isai, and the love interest who's killed, who I couldn't tell you who that was, I'm afraid, the actress. Although she did get a title card at the beginning.
Who are we talking about? You're talking about the main love interest who was killed?
No. In the flashback, that love interest.
She got a title card?
Yeah, because I think they filmed quite a long sequence with young Ethan Hunt, her, and the young bad guy in this whole de-age sequence. A lot like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Now, question for you. Do you think we're going to get that in part 2?
I don't know. So what was said by the director is that...
You're about to answer the question that I was just about to ask you.
What was your question?
My question was going to be, so what makes you think this?
Because I know. Because
What makes you know this?
I read an article with the director.
You read stuff? You can read?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Basic words and shapes.
Oh, okay. Oh, well done.
Thanks, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
No.
So
go you.
The director and the filmmakers, the editor, they built out this 25-minute sequence of all the de-aging and of this antagonist from the film being more so in terms of killing Ethan Hunt's lady love at the beginning, and this is why Ethan Hunt hates him so much, which... Without this sequence, you do feel kind of like, what's the problem here? Why does he hate him quite so much as he does? It's justified to a degree,
it's
but...
teased in flashbacks, but it really is only teased.
Yeah, but the director's comment was, I'm watching this great technology of this de-aging and this young Ethan Hunt, young Tom Cruise, but that's what I was watching. That's what was drawing my attention, was the effects, brilliant or not, and the fact that I'm looking at that going, wow, look at him, he looks 30 years younger. But so, I wasn't following the story that I was trying to tell. I was distracted by the effects.
So we're throughout this film probably going to be comparing it a little bit unfavourably to Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's already comparing it unfavourably to Dial of Destiny with the de-aging? And you're watching, because that was half of our review of the first section of the film was like de-aging Mads Mikkelsen, de-aging Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Because you only see the younger Gabriel in like these little snippets. The effect is very good, but it doesn't take you out of it at all. And Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt is seen in silhouette most of the time. Yeah. In those shots as he's cradling the dying body of
Tom Cruise. I don't remember.
I don't think you see it.
I don't think you see it close up enough.
I don't think you see it at all.
To it matter.
I think it's quite deliberate.
For it to matter.
I think the director has deliberately removed those sections. Now, he says because it took him out of the experience, maybe it just didn't look good enough.
Maybe. I mean, how long was the film, do we know?
It felt like nearly 3 hours, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, so I've got the IMDb page here, and it's 2 hours 43.
Yes, yeah. So close enough.
I mean, so probably 10 minutes of credits for that, so that's 2.5 hours, a good 2.5 hours.
But I think that would have, this was a 25-minute sequence, so it would have pushed you over the 3 hour mark for this part 1. Or, like you say, maybe they are holding on to it. Maybe they're refining it for part 2.
Maybe.
And we'll get more of that that motivation of why Ethan Hunt hates Gabriel, the antagonist, quite so much.
So we will move forward in the film in time. So I think from Amsterdam, we then cut to the Arabian desert. Because the mission that he's been given has been to find his love interest is Flame from a previous film, Rebecca Ferguson, who plays... Ilsa Faust? I want to say Faust. And she's got a $50 million reward on her head. And it's to retrieve this key that she has.
So the guy that sent Ethan Hunt out, he put the bounty on her head.
Yeah, I'm not.
And he's released bounty hunters.
Yeah, so he did, but I'm not sure that that's clear at this stage. I think that there is a $50 million reward on her head,
right,
dead or alive. But it's not clear that he has been the one to orchestrate this at this stage. I don't think it is, anyway. But she is. Do you know what? When the tape recorder was first playing, and we heard Kidrich's voice. I thought, is that Jeff Daniels? And it wasn't, and I was disappointed. I would have loved to have seen Jeff Daniels. So we're in the Arabian desert. So following on from that, the mission that he's been given, we travel by cut, to the Arabian desert, where we find some bounty hunters chasing down... I wrote a little thing down here as well. So there's a dune, and hiding behind the dune...
Part 1.
No. I mean, yeah, you see other dunes later, maybe. There's a dune, and hiding behind the dune is Ethan Hunt as these bounty hunters gallop off on their horses. And Ethan Hunt is lying down like with his horse.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the scene from Airplane where... You seen Airplane?
Yes.
Where where I can't remember is it Kramer's wife or something like that it says, "You've got to go. My husband will be home soon. You've got to go." And she pulls back the sheet, and a horse gets out of bed.
Adulterous horse.
Yeah, I wrote down making sweet, sweet love to horse. Hunt is hiding from these bounty hunters, and they go off over a dune, and he follows on his horse, who does not at all feel violated.
It did the violating.
It did the violating. So Tom Cruise gets on his horse and he follows the bounty hunters. I mean, this was a little bit. I did go kind of like, okay, it's a desert. It's not like you can hide in traffic. It's like, how do they not know he's following them? But let's assume that he's following from sufficient distance away that they don't spot him until he's crouching down over another dune when they've pretty much surrounded her.
He signals to her with his compass or something that's got glass, and she knows that little flash is him, because maybe it was Morse code or something.
Maybe.
And he's doing that, and then someone else sees his flashing.
The old reflected sunlight thing.
The flashing of the sunlight, not the flashing of his business.
Okay. So all of
I meant penis.
Yeah, got you. Oh. So then a firefight ensues, and all these bounty hunters take on Ethan Hunt, and Rebecca Ferguson has a sniper rifle. She's taking people out.
So Tom Cruise is on his horse in front of all the bounty hunters.
With machine guns.
They've got machine guns.
They're chasing him.
They're firing into this
4
sandstorm.
yards away.
Yeah, and they hit nothing.
Nothing.
It's great.
And I was thinking, okay, you might not be able to hit Ethan, but that horse is shredded to pieces. But never mind.
That sexy horse is dead.
So, Tom Cruise is going to be mourning more than one love interest in this film.
Once you go horse, you never go back.
Once you go equine, nothing else is quite so fine.
So, something else that I read in that same article I doubt
that you read anything.
What's the director's name? This gives away that I didn't read anything.
Do you get it to read stuff out to you?
Yeah. iPhones. Audible.
Oh, it's Christopher McQuarrie.
So in the same interview with McQuarrie, the director, he revealed why Ilsa's character wears the eye patch when she is sniping.
Oh, okay. I wondered that myself.
So it makes a lot of sense that she would cover
really
her.
Bright.
Well, she would cover the eye that she doesn't want to use. Now, a lot of people would do this by closing that eye.
Oh yeah.
But so she's got like a dominant eye for sniping with. But the reason is that the actress can't wink. She can only blink. So she couldn't keep her sniper eye open and close her non-sniper eye.
Do you know how you could have got around that?
Go on.
Had her put her eye up against the eyepiece, so and then you can't see it, and then close both eyes.
Yeah, but no, we needed to throw money at it and art and design prop work and costume at it, and they made a little eye patch.
I mean, it was a lovely.
But it looked really cool.
It looked really cool, and I thought, she's a pirate.
Yeah, probably the right choice.
Yeah. Anyway, so after the ensuing gun battle where Ethan is raiding her hut, that's not a euphemism. He gets in there just in time to find her lying on the floor, seemingly dead. Did you fall for that at that point?
Not
in the slightest.
A jot.
No.
No.
And then cut to
there was no blood. There was no wound. She was just laying down. I do that all the time.
I thought that sequence, by the way, was very computer game, like Call of Duty, like going through shooting things.
Yes.
Took an awful lot from that kind of style.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not a big comment. Liked it. It's good.
It was a good scene.
So from this scene, when Ethan has found Ilsa,
yes,
seemingly dead, from this scene we smash cut to an assistant to IMF director Kittredge arriving at some secret organisation where they are going to explain the basic plot to what's going on.
Oh, to the exposition meeting.
Yeah, the exposition meeting.
Yes,
exactly.
With Gattis and Delaney.
This Gatiss, adjunct arrives, goes through security, and he walks.
And he's the weirdest looking man.
He's the weirdest looking man, and he's so suspicious.
You're a bad guy.
Yeah. I thought he was a bad guy.
Or you're something else.
I thought he was a bad guy, the whole way through that scene.
He's the most suspicious looking, albino looking chap.
He's got the devil eyes.
Yeah.
And anyway, he walks into the room, and as my lovely colleague here said, in the room are sat Carrie Elwes, Ewells. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Neither does he.
No. Mark Gatiss, and what I wrote down here in my notes, Papa Bear, because I couldn't remember his real name, but he's the guy who played the guy without superpowers, but's got type 2 diabetes.
And a fantastic moustache.
In Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Rob Delaney's his real name.
Yeah.
And obviously Kittredge is also in there. Have I missed anybody? There was another guy.
There were a number of other officials, mainly from American government and other governments from around the world.
Charles Parnell was also in there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they're telling you the background plot of everything that we've witnessed in the submarine. They're explaining all of that to you.
See, this is the scene where I said that everyone was English, but Charles Parnell isn't. Although I did look him up, and it says he was born in Hyde Park. And I thought, that makes him English. Hyde Park, Chicago, Illinois.
Ah.
He's the guy who played one of the admirals in Top Gun Maverick. So, obviously, friend of Mr. Cruise.
Yeah. Nepotism. Yeah, so the big exposition dump here.
Big dump. Dumped all over us. Tell me number 2.
It informs you of the entity.
Yes. And they call it that through most of the film.
It's said
the
a lot.
The entity, yeah.
And it feels a bit silly. But the entity is artificial intelligence.
The entity is. You know what the entity is. I know what the entity is. Begins with an S.
Submarine?
No. Skynet.
Oh, it was very Skynet.
The entity is Skynet.
It was very Skynet. And it's been in the internet for God knows how long. It leaves no trace. It deletes itself. And it's found its way onto that submarine, and that's what caused the tragedy of that submarine crash.
We'll find out much, much later that they sent it onto that submarine as a test.
Right, to infiltrate this Russian super sub.
Which, again, so that I got a little bit confused as to how if it didn't originate on that submarine, because it wasn't part of the super sub, it was sent onto that super sub to infiltrate the
because you see the graphics change, don't you? From like a normal kind of computer screen to this round graphic that represents the AI, the entity as they call it, which I don't know if I cared for that.
The entity, no.
I get what I suppose I didn't want to keep saying AI all the time.
I mean, so some people did say AI a fair bit, but entity
not
seemed,
as much as the word
not
entity.
As the entity. No, entity. Yeah, no, I was a little bit, but you have to have something to name your MacGuffin.
Yeah, but it took on almost like supernatural elements.
It wasn't as bad as Avatar's Unobtainium.
Well, no, nothing's as bad as Unobtainium.
No, it's like
God.
It's on like $3 billion a sequel or something. It's on a lot. Why?
Because it's visually stunning.
It is visually stunning, and the film itself is it's okay.
Yeah,
but I don't understand that.
Anywho.
Yeah, so we get this exposition dump that there is an AI that, like as Dan says, is out on the internet.
Yeah,
it's been
You're
there
right, Skynet. Yeah,
for a long time, and it basically the film then explains that who controls the AI will control the world.
Yeah,
and so all the superpowers in the world, all the independent states are after it, and the reason that they know that everyone's after it is because no one's talking to anyone about it. If they were talking to each other about it, then they'd be working together, but everybody's going, oh, we don't know about that. Wink, wink.
And this AI has decided that it will infiltrate the secret elements of the government, things like the spy world, IMF.
Yeah. So this facility that they're in is where they are downloading the internet. No, it's not the internet, but it's everything that they've got digitally, they are transcribing onto like paper backups.
Pen and paper.
It's not good for global warming, this, kids. This film is very...
The carbon footprint of this film is
it's large.
It's atrocious. So in this scene, still in the exposition office...
So we're going to call Carrie Elwes or Yules Wesley or the Dread Pirate Roberts from now on, because we're not sure how his last name's spelled, and we're not sure how his last name's pronounced, and this embarrasses us.
It's his own fault.
It's his fault. It's his parents' fault. They should have changed it to something sensible.
But Dread Pirate Roberts seems to be some super organizer of the spy world, and yet he doesn't know what the IMF is. He's never heard of it.
He's like the secretary of something or other in the United States government, which is apparently a big deal. He doesn't just type letters.
No, he's very important.
Doesn't get coffees.
And he has to be told what the IMF is.
Yeah.
And
by Kittredge.
I had forgotten what those letters stand for.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh no, Impossible Mission Force.
What a ridiculous ridiculous name. And I laughed out loud and audibly in the cinema.
And they actually acknowledge that is a daft name, but it's great. That's
stupid.
Yeah, but it's from the 70s.
Impossible Mission Force. God.
So the sort of the themes of this film are around the sort of the global fear that we have at the moment around AI and around what I think Stephen Hawking called the singularity. I don't know if he coined the phrase, but the singularity is the point. Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Okay, so I don't need to blind you with science.
Not today.
You fucking jingles.
Not today.
He blinded me with science. Science.
For the listener, the singularity is the point at which AI will sort of achieve self-awareness and consciousness, and it's not clear whether or not we are bordering on the edge of that happening right now, or if it will ever happen. It's not clear that it can happen in something other than an organic brain, but it might do, and it might happen tomorrow.
Do you think that term comes from... Does it come from like Asimov?
Possibly. I don't know.
I wonder if he coined that. Anyway.
I don't know. I've read iRobot, but that's as far as I've got with Asimov.
So they're saying that the entity, the AI, that it has become sentient.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're in the world of Dead Reckoning, they already have the singularity.
And so at this point you start putting together that it was the entity that made that imaginary submarine in the opening scene. Yeah. And that it has planted this ghost in the machine of this pretend submarine and made them destroy themselves.
Which at first I thought, why would it do that? Because is it on the submarine?
So this is the bit that I don't get.
Can it move from the submarine?
I don't know, because everybody is now looking for these two interlocking keys.
Yeah.
Which I thought primarily they've got loads of pictures of these keys. Why don't they just make more keys?
Yeah.
So let's assume that there's some weird technology stuff inside them, because they've got so many detailed, down to the millimeter pictures of these keys.
Yeah, and they say you can only verify if the keys are real when they interlock.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just a singular groove.
Yeah.
But it's to do with the fact that they light up.
Yeah, they've got lights on them, so...
And they blink in sequence, and then it goes, yep, I'm a key now.
Yeah.
And at one point in it, Ethan Hawke... Yeah, Ethan Hawke.
Yep.
The actor Ethan Hawke.
The actor Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hunt says that there's like a radioactive element inside the keys. It allows him to track it. He says, the dragon egg inside of it allows me to track it and its radioactivity.
So it's made out of the same stuff as the wands in Harry Potter.
Sure.
It's got a dragon egg core.
But he says it like, that must mean something to in terms of radioactivity and how you trace it. But it's said in such an offhand way that everyone, Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg just go, yeah, dragon eggs. Yeah.
I think it means the same as a flux capacitor.
Oh, okay.
I think it's what's known as bullshit science.
Well, they usually explain bullshit science a bit more, so you go, oh, okay, I get that. He made it sound like it was a real thing in the world, and maybe it is, and I just do not. I've never heard of it.
No.
Maybe Tom Cruise has, but then he's better than me. So I had to think about it, and I think maybe it was only towards the end of the film that this started to coalesce in my mind, that the entity, the AI, it isn't hiding in the submarine because it can go around the internet.
This is what confused me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but its source code, which is the only thing that you can use to kill it, exists on a hard drive that was shown quite a lot in the opening sequence and in flashback.
Was it?
Yeah. So this code that you can use to, I don't know, to unravel the AI is only on a hard drive that is locked in a safe that is on a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. And that's what the keys get you into. And this first film is all about getting the keys before you can get on the sub. So the second film will be about the race to the sub and finding it, because no one knows exactly where it is, except for the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Well, it's lucky that he's a pirate.
Yeah, that's
lucky
how he
that
knows.
He's a nautical man.
Yeah, that's how he knows about it.
Yeah.
That took me way too long to...
Well, it obviously took me longer because you've just told me.
to understand it. Because
I don't remember seeing this hard drive.
Because you think to yourself, okay, so the ship, the submarine has got the AI on it, because you see it, you see the round.
This was what I was...
And then it sinks itself. And you're like, why would it try and destroy itself? But it's not, it's hiding. It kills all the people on board.
So
it's hiding at the bottom of the ocean, or it's hiding its Achilles heel at the bottom of the ocean.
And that's why the missile hits the stern, because
it likes it in the stern.
Because it likes that's where it likes its violent entry, is the stern. I think that the shape of a submarine is to do with the sonar, that big bow wave, that big bulbous thing.
Where I think the captain sits, but
it's not. I think that's to do with like the sonar and stuff. And I
want
think
to sit up the front.
I'm
the captain.
Absolutely. So I suspect that that's where this giant room is, and that's why
the big cerebro.
Yeah, and that's why it's it crippled,
protected that area.
Protected its.
But why wouldn't it destroy the source code completely?
Maybe it needs it.
Yeah.
But if it needs it, then you kind of go,
what happens when it loses power down there?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if it's a nuclear-powered sub, then that's not going to happen for a very, very long time.
Fair enough.
But, you say that, but, like, the power relays and the things that transmit the power around it are going to corrode. I mean, if we look at the Titanic, it's getting to the point where there's very little left, you know, it's rotting away.
Yeah.
And that would happen to the submarine as well. So, like, all right, so it's newer and it's different materials to the Titanic, but 150 years... it'll probably be gone.
Science!
Anyway, it's at this point in this exposition scene where the dodgy-looking man in the corner at some point hands a small box to Kittredge, and Kittredge goes confused, looks at him, and
who was in the first film, right?
Yeah. No, I didn't realise that he was in the very first MI film. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the bit when he explodes the massive fish tank and then jumps out of the restaurant.
Not a friend to fish, Tom Cruise.
No. He loves a horse.
He does, as often as he can. So Adjunct in the corner hands Kittredge a small box, and in it's a gas mask, and he looks over at Adjunct in the corner, and he's put this other gas mask
Johnny
on.
Albino.
Johnny Devil Eyes, and he's got 3 balls in his hand.
Yeah.
That he's starting to throw out the window or something, just to explode them.
Throws them up into the
air.
ceiling.
Yeah.
And they burst into gas, into a green noxious gas.
And Kittredge immediately puts on the gas mask, and everyone else is knocked out.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, I thought that he was a villain of some kind, and there was something nefarious going on.
He was going to kill them all.
But then, of course,
bum bum
bum bum bum bum bum bum bum bum bum bum bum bum bum.
It's a mask. Yeah, it was a mask.
And, Cruise pulls off the mask, and underneath is Ethan Hunt.
Yeah. Little Tom Cruise. Now, did you see that coming?
No. I didn't until I only saw that coming when we panned down to see the other people were unconscious and not dead.
Dearest listener, I understand that you are angry right now because Gareth just said panned down instead of tilted down. For all the filmmakers listening, we apologise. Gareth feels bad. Please don't hold this against Gareth. He's a beautiful man with a delicate soul, and all he wants is your forgiveness and love. Yeah, I mean, I guessed it. I didn't know. I guessed it early on. When they lingered on the Johnny Albano's face when he's entering the building, and they kind of like scan his face to make sure that he's the real
very offensive
Johnny
to albinos.
They know what they did. And it lingers on that, and it kind of it shows you that it's read his facial structure and his eyes. And I just kind of went, yeah, I bet he's not. I bet that's not him. And also, he felt like a throwaway person as well.
He definitely was.
So yeah, I kind of guessed, but maybe I only believe that in retrospect.
So anyway, at this point we get more info dump. Tom Cruise tells him that he's got the key, does he? And that Ilsa is dead. Does he tell him he's got the key?
Yes, yeah, that he got it from her and that she's dead, except She's bloody not.
She's bloody not. But anyway, it is also at this point that we get the opening credits.
Yeah, it's a long, cold open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a good half an hour film, I think, at this point.
Yeah, to the point where you've accepted that you're watching the film now. You don't need to be told what the film's called. And they bloody do.
At that point, Tom Cruise then escapes, and how's he going to do that? He puts on Kittredge's face.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. Kittredge is saying, how the hell are you going to get out of here? And then he shows him. And does he kind of go... He still did.
Ah.
Yeah, and then he gets shot with a tranquilizer.
Yep.
But that was a strange moment when the security team call up the office and Kittredge, without saying anything, lets them know that he's in danger. But he hires Ethan Hunt to do all this stuff.
I know.
So why is he kind of like,
but
yes, I am in danger, please come immediately?
Yeah, he says, if you're in danger... Or
is that a front as well?
Are you safe right now to speak? No. If you're in danger, then hang up the phone within the next 5 seconds. 5, 4, click. Yeah, I don't understand that. But anyway...
Maybe he has to deny any knowledge of...
At that point, did he find out that Tom Cruise had the key, though? I think he did. And I think
so
that was what he wanted.
Yeah.
So Tom Cruise had that in the room, and I think he suspected that Tom wasn't going to give it to him.
There, Tom.
Unlike the horse. Anyway, so the next scene we cut to is... Where's the airport?
Abu Dhabi.
And we're back with the whole team. We've got Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg, and that is the whole team.
That's it now.
That's it, yeah. Everyone else is dead. They are looking for... somebody who's got
the other half
of the key, which we can detect because it's radioactive or something.
It's got a dragon egg.
It's got a dragon egg in it. And while we are also looking for the key, there is a special forces team looking for Ethan Hunt, who arrive on those fancy helicopter plane things that I love.
Yeah, and they refer to him as the shape-shifting, mind-reading agent of chaos.
Is that what he says?
It's exactly what he says.
And that's good.
And they make him sound like he's some...
The Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, some super spy.
He is like two of those is the Martian Manhunter, shape-shifting, mind-reading,
and he's afraid of fire as well.
Yeah,
and being dumped by his horse.
So in the airport, being chased by the special forces team, and they're trying to chase this key. They're trying to detect it. So we've got Ving Rhames on the computers.
He's a computer boy.
He's a computer boy, and he's artificially putting Ethan Hunt's face on other people, so that when they try and track Ethan Hunt through the cameras, they're detecting the wrong people and going after them, and it's all fun and games.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And then we are introduced to Hayley Atwell's character, Peggy Carter.
Yes.
Oh, no, sorry.
Grace
Kelly, no. Grace Jones, no.
I don't think she had a surname. Which brings up an interesting point. When Ethan Hunt meets her for the first time, and he introduces himself, and she says, "You can call me Grace." Like it's a name that she just made up because she doesn't want to give herself away yet. And then we just run with that for the rest of the film.
I didn't spot when you see her actual genuine passport at the end.
Did you see the genuine one?
Yeah, when she hands it over and says, "I want you to protect this person." That's got to be the genuine passport. So I think when we rewatch, and I'm sure we will rewatch.
I'll watch that again. It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
We will have to check that out. But so he meets...
It felt like she gave herself an alias, and then it becomes her actual name. And I imagine if I paid attention to the credits, that's how she was.
What was the significance of the Zippo? Was the Zippo the thing? He
could trace that as well, yeah. He could trace that with his glasses.
Okay, yeah.
Because it gave off a little bit of radioactivity.
Yeah, had a dragon egg in it.
Yeah, or two.
And was he wearing aviators? Were they aviators?
Aviators that had supercomputer tech in them.
Aviators, yeah. We're introduced to Grace, Hayley Atwell, because she has lifted the key off the mark.
Yeah, so she's like a super thief, a cat burglar type person. Yeah, cat. She's Black Cat from Spider-Man. Yeah, I would like my one.
As soon as it's noticed that the person they're following with the key no longer has the key, Tom Cruise uses his super aviators to spot it on Hayley Atwell.
Yeah,
and then they go to the nearest Witherspoons and have a conversation. So throughout this whole sequence, we see little bits of Gabriel, the main bad guy who killed Ethan's first love.
What a git.
We see him wandering around the airport. He's not picked up by anybody, but it's just... this is our first sort of introduction to him, isn't it?
And you go on from there to work out that he is being protected by this AI. He's kind of the... He's the personal assistant. He's like the familiar of the AI. Yeah, if you want to go down a Dracula kind of route. Yeah, so he's the human embodiment and of the AI that allows it to go around the world.
There's a very specific point where Cruise is wearing his aviators that are super spy tech that can, tell him who everybody is.
It's so stylish.
And he sort of turns his head very quickly, catches a glimpse of Gabriel, only to see the picture immediately dissolve of Gabriel.
Yeah.
To be sort of disappeared from the image, and then he whips off the glasses and he's not there. So it looks like the entity, the AI, is digitally removing Gabriel.
And they say that it's doing it in real time as well.
In real time, yeah.
So he can't be tracked by CCTV or facial recognition or the spy satellites. This guy is a ghost.
Yeah. Just before that, Grace is recruited by Ethan to slip the key back into the Mark's pocket because he needs to get on the plane and whatever. He's got to take the real key to find the other half of the key. They're effectively going to allow him to take the whole key just so that they can get the two parts together.
And they want to know what it opens and where that's located. So
I think that they figured out that the key from the Mark that they were chasing was a fake key. So they want to give him their version of the real key, so that he takes it to marry it up to get those two parts of the key together and then effectively retrieve them. It's a big gamble, but that's what their plan is.
Yeah. Doesn't work though, does it?
Doesn't.
Because that Mark, who's kind of inconsequential in the larger picture, he gets killed.
Without any lines.
Poor bloke.
Poor bloke.
I'm going to be in a Mission Impossible film.
Yay!
What happens to you?
Hey, Mum, guess what happened?
I get to walk around an airport. Get to go to Abu Dhabi. That's quite nice. If that's really where they went. I think they did. Probably did.
Get to go to Pinewood.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And
anyway, while all this is happening as well, there is another scene where Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg are chasing down a potential nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
But this is all just to show the power of the AI. Because when they get to this nuclear bomb, like there's this whole thing where Simon Pegg chases it through the baggage compartment, the baggage handling area, and there's loads
to stop it from getting on the plane that Tom Cruise's characters get on.
And he then
supposedly
he finds the bag, he opens it up, and he triggers the bomb, and the bomb's got a 5-minute countdown timer, and then it starts coming up with riddles. It's got like a cryptic,
personalised riddles for Benji.
Is it called a cryptex? The thing, like, it's kind of like in the Da Vinci Code, where it's got several octagonal, or maybe more than that, tumblers that you have to move to the correct.
Or a cipher
and he has to answer riddles. He's got this little computer screen that gives him riddles, such as, I speak without breath and something or other, I can't remember, or what is always approaching but never arrives. I got that one.
So did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I said tomorrow or the future.
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Absolutely. And it also asks some just personal questions. Are you afraid of death? And he has to answer all these things either truthfully or correctly within the time frame, and he obviously does it just in time. And then the device opens itself up, like literally with 2 seconds or 1 second to go on the timer.
Classic.
Because it's Mission Impossible.
Yeah, classic movie bomb style.
The device opens itself up to reveal that there's nothing in there.
There's no nuclear material.
No. There's no bomb even.
No. It was a red herring.
It was a red herring, just to fuck with our protagonists.
Was it? Yeah, was it just to prove a point?
I think
I can make you, run around and do this merry dance.
Well, I think
at my whim.
Yeah, and to prove that because, like you said, what are you most afraid of? He said losing my friends or something like that. He had to give the truthful answer. So this
very corny.
It was to prove that this AI is effectively omniscient.
Yeah, and that it can do all of these quadrillions of calculations per second, and essentially it can predict the future, or it can predict people's intentions and actions, and so it knew that they would find that bag and that bomb, and that what went down in the airport is what would happen. It knew that they would do that. Bit much. Yeah.
It was all right. No, I thought it was okay. It was possibly one of the least interesting parts of the film, but still.
Yeah, but still under like high tension.
Yeah, very high tension. And at this point, at the end of this sequence, Ethan Hunt realizes that the real key has been lifted off him by Hayley Atwell's character again, and he's been distracted. I can't remember why he was distracted, but was it the bomb? It was the bomb thing, wasn't it?
They keep the bomb thing away from him. While all that's going on, he's being chased by the US government, who are after him to stop him, and he gets away by running on the roof. And Tom Cruise does his first big run of Mission Impossible.
Gotta love a Tom Cruise run.
And he runs on the top of the airport, and he runs bolt upright as he does. Very straight back, great posture.
He's good.
Looks odd.
Excellent.
Looks odd.
That
That's
boy.
not how people run.
No.
And
very sharp hands.
And he does a big T1000 run on top of the airport, and he gets away. Yeah. God bless him.
So Hayley Atwell manages to elude him by going through the gate, which then closes behind her, getting onto the plane, and Tom Cruise then says to the team, "This AI knows us too much. We need to disperse. Go away. Never come back to me again. I hate you all.
I hate you, but I love you."
Yeah.
In the same way that I feel about
Go
my
on,
horse.
get out of here. like one of those films where they're trying to get rid of the dog at the end. So Grace has boarded a flight to Rome. So the next time we see her, she's in Rome. She's been arrested for having multiple passports with multiple names on it. And
she's a very naughty international jewel thief.
A naughty international jewel thief. And we subsequently find out that, of course, Hunt has phoned in the tip about her, and he poses as her lawyer. And effectively, they escape while the government men are there to try and find Hunt as well, because they followed. I don't know how they followed. I can't remember.
They can seem to find him wherever he goes.
And they get into Peggy Carter. I've got to stop saying that. Grace escapes the building and gets into an open cop car, because there is always an open cop car when you need one for a chase.
Yeah. And part next to it was a cop motorbike. Which becomes very useful for Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise then, following her seconds afterwards, jumps on the motorbike.
Very convenient.
No helmet. But Tom Cruise never wears a helmet.
No. Doesn't
believe in him. I wonder who dyes Tom Cruise's hair, because it looks very natural, but he can't still have his hair colour.
There are different wigs that he wears.
Oh, really?
For continuity, because there was reshoots and things like that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, there's a moment when he lands, jumping ahead, but he lands from off of a parachute, and in one shot he's coming down, and his hair just changes. It's like as he touched down, he combed his hair.
So she jumps in the cop car, he jumps on the cop bike, and a very brief chase ensues, and she crashes almost immediately, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Or was that Pom Klementoff that crashed into her there, or was that when are we introduced to Pom Klementoff? I can't remember.
It's at this point.
It's in this point.
It's in Rome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's you don't quite know it yet, but she's an agent for Gabriel.
She's Gabriel's henchman.
Yeah. And we might as well call her Harley Quinn throughout, because that's the kind of.
She's a bit psychotic.
She's
Agent
part
of
Joker, part Harley Quinn, agent of chaos.
Yeah.
Working for Gabriel, just wants to cause as much havoc and damage and pain as possible.
She's a bit like Ruby Rose's character in John Wick. I want to say 3.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, she's just a fighter who's just.
I think later on she's even got she's got this splash of white.
Oh, she does
grease
in
paint
one scene,
and a little black heart, and again this little Harley Quinn motif. Some of the clothes, it's not in your face. It's quite subtle.
But anyway, this leads to they immediately crash the car. They need to get out, and Tom Cruise gets on his phone and he finds a safe car. Like an IMF car that's been left there for if anybody needs it.
Just in case.
Yeah, because in every street of every town in the world, they've got a car somewhere. And so they run off and they find this tiny little yellow Fiat Cinquecento, which I loved.
Which was parked behind a lovely kind of
a massive
Lamborghini
supercar.
Or Bugatti type supercar.
And I loved it. And they got into that.
And this little Fiat 500 comes out.
And Tom Cruise immediately crashes that because he turns the dial. Well, he presses.
It's got weird controls.
Yeah, it's got this weird control. I don't know why he needed what's wrong with the windscreen wipers being on a stalk, but he presses the button and the windscreen wipers come on.
Yeah.
ignore that, but then he turns the dial to turn it into drive, I presume, and it's just a lot quicker than he was expecting, so he immediately crashes it into a wall, but then he recovers, and he drives it very well. And then what follows is an absolutely fantastic car chase.
Around Rome, yeah.
Around Rome.
Through Roman roundabouts, which are dangerous for anyone.
Yeah, down the Spanish Steps,
yeah.
you know. There was, they start this chase by being handcuffed together.
Yes.
And immediately when they get into the car, like Tom Cruise is the one that's handcuffed them together.
And he realises he's done the wrong hands.
He's realised he's gone the wrong way, and that he now is his left hand is attached to her right. So she's in the driver position because Italian cars are left-hand drive. Yeah. I think he regrets that immediately.
Throughout the car chase, there's lots of swapping because she is driving and then she doesn't want to be the driver, so they swap.
And then at one point, the car flips over, like it rolls down the end of the Spanish Steps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It tumbles and tumbles, and then it sort of lands upright, and they look at each other. And somehow
they've swapped seats. But that was really funny.
They kind of like looked at each other,
and it's just a little moment.
And this
that's
scene,
the humour.
Yeah, and when she's driving, she's portrayed as obviously being a terrible driver, or not necessarily a terrible driver, but someone who's never driven in a car chase before.
Yeah, under pressure. Yeah,
inept in a car chase, I would say.
Yeah,
and it is so comedically done, and it's a fantastic car chase, and comparing to Dial of Destiny, it looks like it was all really done.
It looks really practical.
In a real place with real cars and real people, and it elevates the scene so much.
Yeah. I've been saying this for a little while now.
I know, Dan, Jesus.
And you look at things like shows like The Mandalorian that use what they call the volume, the big LED wall that replaces green screen, and people look at it and go, that's the future of filmmaking. And you go, it is for some things, and it is to a degree, and it will be a great tool for filmmakers to use, but then filmmakers, directors, DOPs, directors of photography will get bored of filming not on location. And they will want to go back out and do things for real. And I think this is kind of testament to that.
Do you know what I'm going to compare it to? Red Dwarf, Season 6 and Season 7.
Oh, that is specific.
It is very specific. Season 6 of Red Dwarf was like the last brilliant season of Red Dwarf, where it was filmed in front of a live studio audience and it was fantastic. And then they came back in Season 7 and they had all these big sci-fi ideas. So what they did was they filmed it like as if it was a film. You know, they filmed it as a non-comedic program, and then showed it to an audience to get a laugh track. And the laugh track was artificial. It didn't feel right. You did not have that energy of being in the room with an audience. And filming on location and filming in front of green screen, in front of like in this volume thing that you described, it's a bit like that. It's like okay, so you might be able to do fantastic things, but you haven't got that energy, the energy of being in the real place doing the real thing. I mean, one of the very few times that you can see how much Tom Cruise is aging in this film was in particular when there's a small skydive scene, and his face was just
flapping
about in the wind, and it's like, this is real. He's really doing this.
Yeah.
You know, there is a cameraman next to him while he is jumping out of a plane to get this shot, and it's so good.
Yeah.
You know, it elevates it. Anyway, so the car chase continues, and it's a fantastic car chase, and it ends. Did we do it? I need to say too much more about the car chase. I don't think there's anything more specific.
No, it's just incredibly well done.
Yeah,
and
it's got several different people involved, which is always great comedy when you've got lots of different teams trying to get hold of the same thing. You know,
I think that's something to say for the film, is that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people and teams and motivations to follow, and it could have easily have gone wrong and been really confusing.
Yeah, you're never lost.
I was never lost.
No.
Throughout it. I thought it was great. So that's a testament to the writing and the storytelling and the production.
So involved in the car chase, you've got the Italian police, like all of them. You've got Pom Klementov, her name, Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's chasing in some giant armoured Humvee type thing. You've got the government spooks, who is played by, I don't know who they're played by, except for one of them seems to be the brother in every TV series for a while. He was in Boardwalk Empire. Can't remember his name. Never mind.
I know who you mean.
He's fantastic.
He's really good, and his hair was beautiful.
It was beautiful, and the chase ends on a train track.
Yeah.
I thought this was a little bit dark, this bit.
This was out of order.
This was out of order because, there was a bond there between... Well, I suppose we're not quite at that point yet, but Grace has picked her handcuffs. The car has backed onto her train tracks. Grace has picked her handcuff and handcuffed Ethan Hunt to the steering wheel of this tiny Fiat.
Yeah.
Tiny yellow Fiat. And
the train's coming.
The train's coming, yeah.
She leaves him with the paperclip and says, good luck. In a very kind of femme fatale kind of way.
But she also chucks the paperclip in there and has no guarantee that he can
find it straight away. She doesn't give it to him.
I mean, to be fair, when she left, there was no train coming, but it came pretty...
Yeah, but she knows what train tracks are.
Yeah. I know, I'm just trying to give the girl the benefit of the doubt.
No, it was too much.
In the end, he can't pick the lock, so he ends up ripping the steering wheel off, which, to be honest... I think he'd have a better chance ripping his own hand off than a steering wheel of a car.
Yeah.
But anyway, and diving out of the car. But it's one of those things where it's portrayed like he didn't get out of the car, and then you cut to him on the side of the train track as the train is whizzing by.
Yeah. And if we go back to Dial of Destiny, there was some train track stuff while he's on the horse, and he just jumps in front of the train when he's escaping during the ticker tape parade, and he's on the horse, and he goes down into the subway.
Oh, yeah. I blanked
just
that
jumps
from my
in
mind.
front of his horse jumps in front of a train just before it hits him.
Yeah.
It really feels like these
so
films were being
pieces.
Made in parallel.
So many set pieces that
the
are
writers
the
and the production crew were kind of like, well, what are you doing? Well, we're doing some stuff on a train. Yeah, tell me about it.
There's also a parachute scene in Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Very, very, very odd. Very odd.
It really
parallel
is
filmmaking.
Considering they are so completely different, the elements are pretty much all the same. I did enjoy the fact that they kept destroying scooters in the car chase. They just crashed and drove over all these scooters and motorbikes.
Yeah.
So anyway, from there we go to Venice, where we
Venice,
where we get to what I'm going to call the Skynet party.
Oh yeah.
So this is the meeting of all the villains that are trying to find the key.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah, all these criminals.
Yeah.
In this massively illuminated, very loud party.
Yeah, and we are introduced to the White Widow.
Yes.
So called because the name Black Widow is taken.
And she wears white all the time.
Played by Vanessa Kirby. I feel like I've seen her in something before, but I don't know what.
She was in Hobbs and Shaw. She was
not seen that.
No?
It's a Fast and Furious film.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I'm sure she's done other things as well.
I'm sure she has. So, because the White Widow knows him as, is it John Lark or John Locke? Lark.
She thinks that he's some mass murdering killer who she kind of admires and fancies.
So I can't remember, but apparently she was in Mission Impossible Fallout, and that's where she knows him from.
Yeah.
Yes,
and it's revealed in that film that she's the daughter of a character from the first film. There was a character called Max, a woman in that. And she's mentioned in this film. But it's all kind of... You need to know the series quite well.
And that's the problem with the Mission Impossible films, I find. I think we've said it before, is that they sort of all blend into one.
They all blend into one.
They're all fantastic, though.
But they all feel like their own stories that don't really connect.
Yeah.
And yet there's this... There is a... I don't want to use the word universe because I think it's used too liberally, but there's a serialization of these films, and they do all follow on, and yet you can watch them in isolation.
So at this party we've got her, we've got Gabriel, we've got Rebecca Ferguson, and Grace has arrived.
Yeah.
And everybody's after this key that Grace has.
More sleight of hand. She hides it in places.
Yeah, long story short, Gabriel effectively says, tomorrow I will be on a train and the key will be placed at my feet. The completed key will be placed at my feet.
Yeah, I don't even have to try.
Yeah,
it's all predicted by the AI.
The AI has worked it out, all the probabilities, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and also one of these two women, Grace or Ilsa, will die.
And he says,
and Ethan can choose.
He says, I will let Ethan choose, which he doesn't.
No.
Ethan doesn't choose.
No. He's not really there when both the ladies are in jeopardy from Gabriel. And why is he not there? Because he's doing a big long run.
He's doing a big long fight at that point, actually. So
that is true.
effectively, fight breaks out in there. Everybody's chasing Grace with the key, and Grace has sort of escaped, and while Ethan is fighting other people, Benji and Luther are guiding Ethan to Grace over comms, because they've got the map, and all of a sudden the Benji's voice starts guiding Ethan the wrong way when Benji is not saying anything. So the
who could it be?
So the AI. So he's Gabriel has arrived on this bridge and starts having a fight with Grace.
Yeah.
For the key.
With knives
and swords. No knives at this point. And then Rebecca Ferguson arrives while Ethan is trying to. Ethan's been led the wrong way.
A merry chase,
a wild goose chase, if you will. The Benji in his ear all of a sudden stops talking like Benji. The voice is the same, but the words are different, and he basically says, "You're too late. They're on the mini bridge or something," is what they said. And you won't make it in time. So then Ethan says, "This isn't Benji," and he pegs it.
Hey, how'd you do that?
I don't know. Just came to me. It's just like divine inspiration. And he legs it towards heading towards this mini bridge, and gets caught in the smallest alleyway in the history of the world, having an incredibly claustrophobic fight with henchman number 17 and Pom Klementov.
How did you feel about that fight scene in terms of the cinematography, the camera work and movement during that very claustrophobic alleyway fight?
I was all right with it. You didn't like it?
It was very vibrational. The camera was moving, not just frenetically, but it was like it was bouncing. This happened when Pom's character is driving the car as well. Mm-hmm. There was almost like a dash cam on her face, and it bounced. And there was a lot of that with her character. I don't know if that was a choice, and that when she's being crazy and frenetic, the camera kind of follows her mood. I might be implying meaning that's not really there. But yeah, that there were moments just as we were getting into that fight scene, I was like, I actually feel a little bit sick.
I was okay with it. One thing that I did think was that towards the beginning of that fight, I think before Pom Klementov had arrived, it's just Hunt and a henchman, and I felt like he was like trying to run and jump over the fence at the end, but this henchman was pulling him back.
Yeah.
And I felt like that doesn't feel right for the character. It feels like he would deal with him and then go, because the fact that he's not dealing with him means that he's being pulled back and delayed. But maybe he wasn't thinking right. I don't know. I'll forgive it. I enjoyed the fight sequence. He eventually took this guy out by smacking his head against the wall and through a window. Was trying to deal with Paris, played by Pom Klementov. We'll call her Paris from now on, I think. And she was quite decent in that. It can be a trope of modern cinema that a little girl can beat a stronger man. They can stand toe to toe, and that there is no strength discrepancy when there would be. But I thought that it was very well done. That you didn't feel like
she takes her lumps.
She does take her lumps, and there's one bit where she uses her entire sort of physical being to restrain Hunt against a wall. Do you remember that bit?
I do. It was.
It felt like he was punching her in the crotch.
Yeah. Yeah. He hates vaginas.
Unless they're on a horse.
It's horse or nothing.
Cut that. Yeah, so she was. She was restraining Hunt across this very small alleyway.
It was a bit like in GoldenEye.
Yeah. I was thinking that Xenia Onatop.
Yeah.
Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that. Except for so that the sort of the initial scene with her, she was like sort of crotch and face, if you will, and that's where
she's like strangling him with the thighs.
Yeah, I think so. She would kill people by sort of crushing their abdomen.
In GoldenEye,
yeah, in GoldenEye. But so she was sort of restraining him by using her whole core strength, which is kind of what she'd need, because her arms are never going to be as strong as to punch Tom Cruise. But and then he spares her life at the end of that important plot point.
He could have killed her.
He could have killed her, but he smacks a lead pipe like a few inches above her head.
Yeah, she's exhausted from the fight. Yeah. He's given her some proper beat down, and he could cave her head in with that pipe. And in anger, he smacks it against the wall and doesn't hit her, and and he lets her go. And that doesn't seem like a plot point at the time.
It doesn't.
But it is important.
It feels like Ethan Hunt is not a killer. He has killed, but he's not a murderer.
Yeah.
And at that point,
and he doesn't have time
beaten,
for this bullshit. He's got things to do.
So he then legs off to the mini bridge, and this is all intercut with initially with Grace being defeated by Gabriel, and then Rebecca Ferguson arriving and having a big fight with Gabriel, and losing the fight shortly before Tom Cruise arrives. Spectacularly. And she gets stabbed in the heart with a flick knife.
But even though she had a sword.
Even though she had a sword.
Yeah.
She brought a sword to a knife fight.
Yeah. Should have won that, really.
Should have. So Tom Cruise did lose one of the women that he was,
dare we say one of the disposable women in a long line of...
Well, I did kind of feel like, okay, that one out, this one in.
Yeah.
It felt like Haley Atwell's come in and they've gone, okay, well, we can get rid of Rebecca Ferguson now.
Yeah.
It's just like, hold on. It's a bit of a shame. But I remember her from the last film. She was a bit of a, not a double agent, but her alliances were never particularly fleshed out. She was a bit all over the place with that, wasn't she?
Yeah, a bit of a grey area.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't deserve being stabbed in the old pump, though.
Do you know what I thought with all these mask things that they put on? Like the mask where they can change someone's face with this mask.
Yeah.
Like, what if it was like Ron Perlman or Michael Shannon? Those people have got very big faces. And they wanted to, pretend to be tiny Tom Cruise. How would that work?
Just this giant bobblehead.
Absolutely. One of the biggest faces in Hollywood.
They were like, I want to be in the IMF.
Yeah.
Ron, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can you do computer stuff? No, I'm a field agent.
So we're not entirely clear as to what's happened with the key here. We've just had a little off-mic conflab, but we think that Grace or the Ethan and Grace team still has their half of the key. Yeah, because I don't think Gabriel... I think maybe Grace might even have it on her person, but Gabriel's not taking it off her. He's just there to kill one of them because he says, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that the
tomorrow,
key will come to him.
Yeah. And the White Widow, Alana, has one half of the key. At this stage, Ethan and the gang go back to their little headquarters to create a plan. And it's at this point that Grace says, I got her killed. And Luther then says to her, she died for you. There's a very big difference. And then Ethan offers her the IMF job, effectively. He says, you can live this life with us, and I'm not saying you'll survive, but I'll say that your life will always mean more to me than mine. Which I thought was quite nice.
Yeah.
It was a nice ethos.
And if you stay with us and the IMF, you've got a chance.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then your life will be measured in hours.
Yeah, they said it won't be years, it won't be months, it'll be hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, kind of feels like, okay, well, you're not actually giving me a choice.
It's almost like a threat.
It's almost like a threat. So Grace decides at that point, seemingly, to take the offer. She says that she's going to take the offer, and that when she gets on the train, they create this elaborate plan for her and Ethan to get on the train. Ethan will then escape from the train. She'll get taken into custody, and then at some point she'll be put in front of a guy named Kittredge. And then at Kittredge, she says, Ethan offered me a choice, and I'm going to choose yes.
Yeah.
Effectively,
join up.
Join IMF.
Card-carrying member of the IMF.
Yeah, but then
the
they're
impossible mission force.
That's correct.
Ugh.
But then their face making, their Play-Doh face making kit breaks down. It's made one disguise in the form of the White Widow for Grace.
Yeah.
Because they had to do hers first. Well, of course. And then it breaks down, and so Ethan can't get his mask.
Yeah, he can't pretend to be White Widow's bodyguard.
Yeah. So then he says, no, it's fine. I'll get on the train when it slows down at this bend. cut to the next day.
Gabriel's on the train. And
what was that all about? I didn't understand that. Gabriel's on the train in a box wearing like an oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he just get on as a passenger?
Yeah, and he was wearing a mask that had the entity on it, on like an LED screen.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Why?
Don't know.
What the hell was that about?
Don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Pom Klementov opens up this casket.
How did she get onto the train? Did she get onto the train while it was in motion?
I believe so. She didn't have a ticket. I'll tell you that.
No.
Not for the dining car, anyway.
No, absolutely. She looked very hungry. Anyway, so Gabriel makes his way towards the front of the train, dispatches the train drivers, and
sabotages the train. So it can't slow down.
Yeah.
It's a real...
Gets rid of the stop button.
It's a real speed moment.
It is.
With, you know that film with Keanu Reeves? And Keanu, if you're listening...
Keanu, yeah.
I need that 50 grand. In fact, with inflation... these rates, mate, I'm going to need like 65k. I'll take 50. I'll take 50k. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was really quite mean of him to hang the train driver.
Yeah.
So that it was tooting the horn.
Is that to make it? Does that to make it seem like?
Do you think
that
that's the way
he'd
want to go?
God, he loves trains.
Loves trains.
Yeah.
I would like my swinging corpse to be releasing the steam whistle.
To attach to
toot.
An incredibly powerful steam locomotive.
Yeah. Which we are probably going to get notes on from my friend.
Yeah.
Harking back to our Indiana Jones podcast, a good friend of mine who's well into his trains said that steam train that they used in the beginning of Indiana Jones was a British steam train and wouldn't be in Germany in the 1940s. That is his major gripe.
How could you get it so wrong, Mangold?
Mangold. Yeah, Pom Klementov, she jumps on the train from somewhere, doesn't she? Because I remember thinking...
She jumps on the roof from somewhere. She essentially does what Ethan was going to do before Gabriel sabotages the train and makes it go too fast.
Yeah.
So now Ethan Hunt can't jump onto the train at the bend because it's going too fast.
No,
it's going too fast for him.
But there is a Pom on the train. In Speed, there was a bomb on the bus.
Now there's a
Pom on the train.
Pom on the train. How does he do it?
So it's going too quick.
God-given wit.
Hunt can't get on it. So Benji is now trying to direct Ethan Hunt to the stunt that we've all seen in all the trailers.
All the trailers, 1,000 times.
Like, the only person in this segment of the film who doesn't know what's coming up is Ethan Hunt. Like, everyone else does. Benji's like saying, okay, I'm going to find you a way to get on the train. And he's just basically directing him up a mountain on a trail bike.
Yeah.
Grace is on the train. She knocks out the real White Widow while she's wearing the mask and then takes her place.
Yep.
And she goes to meet the buyer. And the buyer is, surprise, surprise, Kittredge.
Kittredge.
I was waiting for Dad to say them, but you lost the name.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So it's Kittredge, Mr. Kittredge from the CIA.
Absolutely.
My God.
The figurehead of the IMF, which stands for what then?
Stupid name.
Yeah. And
stupid name posse.
Stupid name. And at that point, when she meets Kittredge, she puts the two halves of the key together because she's had her own and she got the other one from the White Widow and realizes it's the real key. And then she gets offered the opportunity to put in her bank details for the transfer of $100 million.
Yeah.
And she puts in her bank details, and then it takes an incredibly long time for that to go from 0% to 100%.
Yeah.
And at that point...
Because it's being encrypted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the while we've got Ethan Hunt trying to ride a trail bike up a mountain. So
that he can jump off the mountain and parachute.
Because he's got a parachute on, because as you do...
Onto the train.
Parachute onto the train. And this is the one bit of CGI that I'm aware in this film.
Yeah, so it's that thing about whether it's CGI or visual effects.
That's CGI, I think.
Is it, though? Because what they do is they film... there's a little bit of splitting hairs about terminology there. But what they're doing is they're filming it for real.
Yeah.
And then
it's a real stunt.
Manipulating the image. It's an
absolute real stunt. But what they've done, so you see Ethan Hunt drive up the peak of a mountain at high speed on this motorbike and then fall off the motorbike and, skydive essentially off this mountain.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. He did that.
Yeah. So they build a big ramp on the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And then they film him going towards the ramp, up and over the ramp, and then you're watching him in that kind of bird's eye view, you're watching him descend to the real ground below. There's no...
And that is all real.
That's real.
The only bit that's fake...
They paint out the ramp.
Yeah, it's the
and
ramp.
Put in a new...
I thought it was like the terrain around it was slightly different on the thing. So they just made it look slightly more dramatic.
Yeah,
but it's like a real stunt.
It's like a matte painting.
Yeah. I've not seen matte painting. Is he good?
He's all right.
Okay.
Better than Rolf Harris.
What? This is like this. We've only done 4 of these, and like this is the second time that you've brought up Rolf Harris. What is your obsession with the man?
He needs to be punished.
He's dead.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. So yes.
He made me watch 6 series of Animal Hospital.
You pointed at me then. I didn't make you watch anything. So Tom Cruise rides this motorbike up and off a cliff and then skydives down into a parachute jump, and it's a fantastic stunt. I don't know what he's going to come up with for the next one, Dead Reckoning Part 2. Other plot points that have happened is that Gabriel and Pom dispatch Carrier Elwes, the Dread Pirate Roberts Wesley, because he's the only one who knows where the submarine is.
The only man on Earth.
Yeah, and he foolishly says, I know where the submarine is, so we could rule the world together. And then Gabriel goes, yeah, but you're the only one who knows where it is, so I'm going to kill you. So then no one will know. I don't want to know. Then no one will know. And he slices his throat. And then he immediately turns to try and kill Pom.
Yeah.
To try and kill Paris, because he says, you'll turn on me because Hunt saved your life.
Yeah, the AI has determined and predicted that you will betray the cause, and so now you die.
Yeah, so he tries to kill her. He manages to stab her, but she gets one of the agents that are lying dead from their entrance to the room, one of their guns, and shoots at him, and he runs out the room. So she is stabbed and not dead at this point.
No, but she's not having a good time.
She's not having a good day. We cut back to Grace, who's hovering over the accept and decline buttons to receive her $100 million. And surprise, surprise, viewer, she chooses decline and decides to join the IMF.
Chooses the path of the hero. Yeah.
She's put her own bank details in, but she's changed her mind and she's decided she wants a family in the IMF. She doesn't. I'm not saying she wants to go and have kids. But maybe she does though.
That money would have helped.
From Keanu. So she hands over the key to Kittredge and she walks away after having given him a firm handshake. And then, as she's walking away, the real White Widow, who has woken up and is very groggy, comes in the other end of the carriage. Kittredge checks his pocket and she's taken the key back.
She's only lifted it again.
She's only bloody lifted both parts now. So now
she can't be
trusted. So now Grace has gotten both parts of the key and she is making her way down towards the other end of the train.
Yeah, she's going to try and escape off the train.
Yeah. And unfortunately for her, the bad guys intercept her and she gets in a bit of trouble in the dining car. And she's about to have to she does hand over the key. But then Tom Cruise on a parachute smashes through the window.
She's about to be shot.
She's literally about to be shot.
And Cruise smashes in at the exact right part.
Yep.
Right window and takes out the guy.
Deus Ex the dining car.
Did you see that coming?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I saw something coming. I'm not sure I saw it quite. Again, this was another scene.
He had been off screen parachuting. Parachute had opened and then we hadn't seen him for a while. And now she's in danger.
Yeah.
So the only thing that could happen.
Well, he was either going to arrive at the end of the carriage, but they decided on a more dramatic entrance.
It was very good, but of course you were going to do that.
And it was somewhat comical as well, because he's like completely baffled with what just happened. He's just taken out the guy with the gun. He doesn't know it. And then the guy with the gun recovers and is pointing the gun again, but the wind catches his parachute that's hanging outside the train and smacks him back into the guy with the gun.
Yeah.
So it's a little comical, but it's very well done.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
And on all
everything on the train is very, very good.
It's fantastic. And in all this, the key is left on the floor. So once all the action is settled down, who do we see? But Gabriel standing with the key at his feet.
Yeah.
And he picks up the key.
Yeah, as predicted.
Just as he predicted he would.
Yeah.
And then sort of we can tell this next bit is pretty quick. Big fight on top of the train.
Yep.
Gabriel and Tom Cruise, and Grace is also on top of the train.
Yes.
Gabriel doesn't win the fight, but there's a standoff between government men, Gabriel and Tom Cruise. Gabriel's got a timer on his watch, counting down to, and it's like on the 10-second mark, and then at the 10-second mark, he just jumps off the train and lands on the
back of a truck that's all padded.
Yeah, a strategically placed flatbed.
Waiting there for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, either predicted by the entity, the computer AI, or set up well in advance by Gabriel himself.
So then Tom Cruise and Hayley Atwell go about trying to stop the train. Tom Cruise says to the government men who now trust him for some reason, you've got to get everybody towards the back of the train.
Yeah.
So they
save the innocents.
Yeah. So they go through getting everybody to the back of the train. Tom Cruise and Hayley Atwell go to the front of the train, realise they can't stop it. So they work on detaching the...
uncoupling the locomotive engine.
The engine. Just in time they do, because Gabriel has planted bombs at a very large bridge over a ravine.
Yeah.
And the engine goes flying into the ravine, but the train, once it's detached, the brakes automatically kick in, the rest of the carriages, and they slow down. They don't stop, though, because that would be less dramatic. And then
it looks like they're going to stop just at the edge.
Yeah, bit like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
But no.
The carriages have still got enough momentum.
Yeah.
And the first carriage starts to teeter off the edge where the bridge used to be. So Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell get up on top of the train on the roof, and they jump to the next carriage, and they're safe. Or are they?
But it continues to go. That's the kitchen carriage, is it? I think that was the first one.
They go to the kitchen carriage.
I think the kitchen carriage was the first one that they go through.
It's the first one they go through. They run over the top of one, then they go into the next one because it hasn't started to teeter yet.
Yeah.
And as it starts to teeter, my new favourite word, there's lots of hot chip oil.
There's hot chip
splashing
oil.
About.
There's oil on the floor, so it's slippy. The gas hobs are on. You see the pipes.
All of the gas hobs were left on at max.
Absolutely. And you see the gas pipes have all come disconnected, and you see them sort of like splaying around, like giving out gas everywhere.
That carriage is going to explode any minute.
Yeah, it's like kitchen knives are flying everywhere. It's like
it was all the chip oil for me.
The chip oil was just
like a
sloshing
volcano
about, just waiting for them. And they have to make it through that carriage, but they do, obviously.
Good for them.
And then they get to the next carriage. I can't remember what the next one is.
It might be the one with.
Is it? Do you think?
Yeah.
So they get to the next carriage, and I don't think it is. I think there's another one they get to before that, because that one was quite...
Maybe there's a passenger...
I think that was the penultimate carriage, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a passenger cart that they have to get through. And because it's falling off the edge, they have to climb up the seats as though they're like ladders.
Yeah.
And jump to a bar.
That's that one.
Yeah. There's lots of... It all becomes very vertical for them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very good. And it reminds me of the game Uncharted 2 on the PlayStation. I can't remember if they did that train section in the film Uncharted with Tom Holland.
They did.
Did they do the train?
I think they did. Yeah.
Well, in classic form for this new Mission Impossible film, where the Impossible Mission Force work, they do it better than. Like the inspiration for it, if that be the inspiration for it, that was a very famous bit from that game that then probably got interpreted by its movie counterpart, and then Mission Impossible 2, Tom Cruise production goes, do you know what? We're going to do that 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
And they do. God damn, it's
That's
good.
it. I love the sequence. I love them going through the kitchen one and having like all these impossible odds against you, like the gas and the chip fat. And then they go to the next one, and like you say, they're hanging up. They're having to climb up the seats, and they're hanging off the bar. The bar is slowly. No, that's the last one.
Yeah,
that is the last one.
I do think the next one was with the.
That's what I mean.
The Joanna.
No, I think there was another one though between those, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So then they get to. I think this is the first one that they go completely vertical on, and they're climbing up as much as they can, and they find themselves in a situation where there is a grand piano hanging above their heads, about to fall on them. And at that point, I laughed. I laughed a lot.
Yeah,
I was like, it was so funny.
The grand piano, for the sake of it being on a train and not rolling all over the place, has been strapped to the floor.
With a belt buckle,
tiny little clasp, and now that is what is stopping it from crushing them to death.
And they have to
musically.
They have to jump out from under it, and they do, and it crashes off.
It's just in time.
Just in time.
It's good.
It's great Mission Impossible down to the last second.
The tension
This was the bit
in this train sequence of them escaping the falling carriages. It was just non-stop.
This was the bit that I likened to Top Gun Maverick. You know, it was just that constant tension that they're not going to make it, but clearly they're going to make it.
Keep ramping it up.
And then they get into the final.
It was a bit like
train.
computer game levels, wasn't it? If you know what I mean.
It was, yeah. And then they get into the final carriage, and they've climbed up all the seats, and they're hanging off of the rail of a bar, the railing of a bar.
Brass rail.
It's brass, and it's slowly giving way. Like Tom Cruise is holding Haley Atwell with one arm, and the other arm he's holding onto this bar, and this bar is like breaking
gonna go.
And then in pops Pom Klementoff,
Pom
Paris, and she saves the Tom Cruise and the Haley Atwell.
Yeah.
And then she pulls them up into the next carriage, and they're all finally safe. And she sort of says, Gabriel was right. I betrayed him to save you because you saved me. That was what he had predicted.
And then she dies. Or does she?
And then she dies, but then a minute or two later, one of the government agents comes in and goes, "We've got a weak pulse," so she doesn't die.
Yeah.
But then we also cut to Gabriel on his flatbed bed because
it did look very soft.
It looked lovely soft.
Yeah.
And he checks his pocket and he's got no key. So he realizes
an idiot.
He realizes that Tom Cruise has lifted that off him, and he still has it.
What a fool!
So at this point, Tom Cruise escapes out the back of the train because he's got another parachute, which is called
something wing. I thought it was going to be like a wing suit, like the Red Bull kind of guys.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be that.
No, it's one of those.
And he says, it'll only take one person. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't take you, Grace, and me and get out of here.
But he's already said to Grace in the previous scene that Grace needs to go and say to Kittredge, I accept the offer.
I make the
choice. And that's what Grace goes and does when Tom's off the train.
An impossible mission, fella.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much the end of the film.
Yeah.
So you don't need to see it now.
End of part one. We have dissected and explained every moment and nuance of the film over the last, what's it been, 7 hours?
7 or 8, yeah. Got a lot of that.
To the edit room. To the edit bay immediately.
To the edit cave. So it's 2 massively prominent thumbs up for me. Loved it. Absolutely fantastic.
It didn't stop.
Did everything that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny did, but did it competently.
Oh, I think that's a damning and scathing
review
indictment
of Dial of Destiny.
Dial of Destiny was fine.
Did it more competently.
Mission Impossible was excellent.
It did it more real, and that was I think that was the big difference. Well, that's our review, which is literally just a dissection because we don't know how to review things, of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Thankfully, we have managed to finish Part 1 before Part 2 was released. For a while there, we weren't sure we were going to make it. Hopefully, you've enjoyed listening to us talking absolute bollocks and just dissecting this far too much, but we really enjoyed it, and we hope that you will join us here again next time.
And we really hope that you went out, saw Dead Reckoning Part 1.
In the cinema.
And that you enjoyed it, and hopefully before we spoiled the living hell out of it.
Absolutely. If you enjoyed our little attempt at potting, please like, share, and subscribe.
And, you're your own man. Just stand up on your own 2 feet. You don't need to bow down to this dictatorship of subscription and Patreons and OnlyFans. Be an individual. Do whatever you want.
Do you think that only men listen to us?
Yeah, as soon as I said that was a mistake. I shouldn't have said that. I've just excluded half the audience.
Oh, more than half these days.
Really?
Yeah.
Ladies, if you're listening, we appreciate you. We see you. We are your ally.
Take care, everybody. We look forward to the next time that we are shouting in your ears.
My wife's going to be so fucking annoyed.
This recording will self-destruct in 5 seconds.